So the flags are done. Look, it's beginning to break away there. Ooh. So we've put one in the middle to stop it from tearing all the way down, or if it begins to come up. Just a bit of sponge. The flag is inside a bamboo stick. And it strengthens all that up. It sticks there. It's not going to give it too much dip. We won't be going that quick. No. This is in. Usual crack with this, with the bar across. Now these, they're not actually squeezing it in. They're just stopping it from moving and jiggling about. So these are in and locked. They're virtually just touching. We don't want them to destroy it. We just, wherever we've set it, we want it to stay, because that's what causes trouble. The trouble is when it begins to jiggle and you don't see it, and it jiggles more and more and more and more, and it gets worse and it breaks off. The secret is hold it and hold it tight. So that's there, held in place, because of course it's down within here, isn't it? This is clipped on here, which is clipped onto there. The rubbing, that when you put stuff onto something, it's the rubbing that causes makes it look second-hand pretty quick. So just put a bit of sponge there. We've got rubber pipe here. This isn't going to cause any rubbing damage, and we can run the big Union Jack behind it. We've seen that, haven't we? And same this side. Except it seems to fly one-sided, but it'll do. It's got what it needs to do. We've brought them out of the way. That'll do what we needed to do. I'm not sure what to do with the faces. Is that disrespectful? Putting clowns, is that sending the wrong message, or is that just part of the makeup of the bike, part of the decoration on the bike? I haven't really decided what to do with the heads. Keep them or ditch them. It's only a case to take them off. It's no big thing. Would you keep them as your identification? That's the bike with the 3 heads on that we saw before. Or would it be disrespectful, knowing what we're going for? So maybe I might think of something else that just sits on top of there. I don't know, or just take the thing off for now. That might be the best way. I've just come to get a new tyre and the wheel. It's a wheel for the Silent Whisperer, and whilst it's out, get the brakes done at the same time. Lovely jubbly. So, do you remember we did this up, didn't we? We had one of these. We were pleased with it, and we call this one now the Pretender one. Not the Pretender, you unbelievers. But it never really did shut, did it? It never really shut. And it was a bit of a puzzle where it was fouling. Then I thought to myself, well, I wonder if it's just not going down enough in the hole. So the good thing about the calipers is we can measure. So we can measure the inside measurement of a thing. We can measure the outside measurement of a thing. Like that, see? We can measure the outside and we can measure the inside. Oops. We can measure the inside. But the good thing about these, let me turn that over. You can also measure the depth down the back end, look. So I wanted to know, hold on. I want to know, is this thread going all the way under? Is the gunge in there holding that up? So let's put the gauge in it and open up the gauge. Stick it in the hole. There we are, look. That's the bottom of it. It's fully stretched. That is the depth of the hole. So we know the depth of the hole now. So we can carry that measurement onto this. And we can plainly see the hole is deeper than that thread wants to go. So it's not a hole problem. It's not the depth, it's not being fouled by the end of that thread there, because I thought that might be full of guns, you know. But what we have noticed, there is a bend in it. Something's not quite right, look. And when you see a thing, you sometimes don't have to see a thing. It's better to measure a thing. So look, we can measure the inside measurement here, like that, look. We can carry that along, and we can plainly see it's not right when we put it in there. Look, there's loads of room. So it seems as if somehow it's bent. The head of this is canted over, it's bent somewhere somehow. How are we going to figure it out? So okay, I did think of, well, we can get around that. We can just file a whole load of this off, or file a whole load of that off. That's not really the solution, is it? We've got to try and square that up. But what we can do, do you remember this one? This is the one that was in the vinegar. This was in quite a worse condition. The one we chose, as it happened, wasn't as bad as we wanted it to be. This one is quite a poor condition. And we're going to redo this one. We're going to make this as much more shinier than this. This is just clean metal shine. It's not that good. Lots of scratch marks. This isn't highly polished, so what we're going to do is we're going to do this from scratch. Obviously it won't be as quick as we did that other one, but we're going to do this one from scratch, and we're going to work our way down. Finer and finer sandpapers. We've got them on the little discs now, aren't we? And then we're going to polish it. We're going to highly polish it. So we're going to do it again. But first of all, before we do that, we need to fix this, don't we? First of all, we need to figure out what the hell is going on, and then we need to fix it by probably just a little tap here and a little tap there, a little squeeze in the vise, a little bit of swearing and a bit of bitting, and that would come up lovely. So that's what we've got to work on now, is which way to hit this thing, because that's what it requires. I haven't got a dake, but I got a bloody big hammer, which may be the same. Let's give it a bash. Let's see if we can figure it and not make it worse. So I don't know if you can see. Let's see if we can see that on the camera. But the top edge of this, see it's in the hole, right? We've got plenty of clearance, but as you put it in, it goes up the top, doesn't it? Yeah. So I think this wants a gentle tapping down this way. Ever so subtle, and ever so gentle, because there's a gap this end. You see, to one side of the hole, in it. So this needs gently easing this way, slightly. So I'm holding it here. I think less of this is the problem, the more of that is the problem. You can see, look, slightly not quite square. I know these would go in a bit, but they would go in a bit evenly. So what we're going to do is we're going to just gonna use a tire lever. We don't want to do any damage to any threads, do we? So we just want to gently convince that to go that way. And has that done the trick? Oh, let's find out. Wow. Hey, not bad for a first go, is it? Not bad for a first go. We're going in. Now, that's the next problem. That tip. So I don't want to find myself doing something to it, forcing it in, and then not being able to separate it. That's going to be the problem. Or are we going to be satisfied with, talk about that? Oh yeah. Or are we going to be satisfied with that? It's better than it was. It does shut. What if I get the the vise, the nose in the vise and pull it over? What will that do? And will that jam the damn thing all together and I could never separate it again? That's always the danger. Or I've figured out where's it fouling. We need to clean that up a bit more on this entrance here. A bit more space as it sits in this corner. Look, we could clean that up a bit, couldn't we? Put a little Dremel on it. Maybe get the Dremel in there, clean it, so we can get it closer. Or do we give it another bend? What should we do? What's that looking like? So easy to overcook the damn thing. So easy to cook it. Let's what's that looking like? Have we got room to ease it once more? We give it another ease without going too much. It'd take a bit, wouldn't it? Would just take a tiny bit more. Without going over the top. So the next question is, see, it's where we want it to be, except that gap's still there. Now, do we handling it warms them up? Do we push that in and don't use the thread? And then if we do jam it in, at least it's got a chance of coming out. We can knock it, we can get under there and we can hammer it with an hammer, can't we? Or do we put the thread back in here and then use the power of the thread to push it apart? If we do something wrong and we've got to force it apart again somehow. I'm all for cleaning this up, I think, first. Cleaning that up first. Because there's very little. As you get in, there's very little wobble room. Very little wobble room. When you get down to here, you can hear the space. But when you get up here, look, that space disappears. Yeah. Look. So, I think we're all right, because what I decided to do was clean this up with a file. And so if this is bent backwards, that means more of this material has moved backwards slightly. So rather than try and shove the whole lot forwards, what I've done is filed this small amount of material off the back so it doesn't jam the same. So let's have a look. And we're using the thread to drive it. No, that's closing pretty good now, isn't it? As far as that's going to go. And we've got a small gap, but we haven't got a nut that small that we're going to drive anyway. So let's see how it opens. And it opens just fine as well. So I think we're going to be, I think that's, you see what I've filed the material off the back. So if it's bent back, rather than try and bend it straight, just take away the material that fouls at this end. You see it better there, don't you? Let's wind it in. That's better, isn't it? Better for what we want to do, because we only want it really as a extra pair of hands just sitting about on the bench. I found these so useful for just, I just need a spanner to go the other side. Just pick this up, just holds the other side of something. So I'm happy with that now. So now we're going to, this has got the spring. Oh, it's got a spring and a washer. Lovely. Just comes straight out the vinegar, this. So we'll work on this. This one is quite bad because there's no names, no markings on this one to be seen. Not yet, anyway. Is there anything on this one? Nothing obvious. This was a pit monster, a rusty pit monster to work on. Anyway, let's crack on with this one. So isn't it just fantastic when you're cleaning something and then it tells you its name, British made, which we thought. We never saw that number in there, did we? We never saw that number in there. Wow. Yeah. So I'm sort of torn with this, look. There's a casting mark there, so you think, right, yeah, we'll grind that all out. We'll flap this that out. But can you see this area here? So that's where you would put your thumb. So let's look on this side. And again, it needs the casting mark taken out. But this is smooth here too. So is this telling us that somebody, his thumb has worn this away and his finger has worn this away? And is this well more used than we think it is? Would have that casting mark continued? And did somebody do that with a file to make it more comfortable? Or, you know, some of these tools, you pick them up, you wouldn't believe, you wouldn't think a finger, a human hand could wear down steel and metal. But you get a feeling, is this being used a hell of a lot? And is that through just where of using? Or maybe somebody did say, I don't like the casting mark, I'll file it myself. It is a bit. This has been sitting in a bucket or in a shelf and the roof of the shed has gone. This has been sitting in the damp, hasn't it? You can tell. That's water, that is. This side's slightly better. Much better, actually. Yeah, let's see if this tells the same story. It should be much worse on this side, look. Yeah, much worse on this side. Which follows that. It's been sitting downwards in the water, in the damp, possibly on soil on the floor, wherever it was. It was that. This was the top face. This was facing upwards. Yeah, so this has been in the dirt, in the bottom of a floor of a garage, and then the roof is gone, I'm guessing. What do you think? What do you think? I mean, it works fine as it is. Works fine as it is. Are we going to clean this one up or not? Hold on, I'll put it back together. I'll come back to you. So, we are at the same dilemma as always. We've given it a bit of lubrication. This is a bit tough to turn, but it's because it's got the spring and the washer. This is completely original. Yeah, there's nothing missing on it. And look at this, look. This is what's making me think not to touch it. Look. Watch that close. It's closing beautifully, isn't it? Wow. Look at that. Do we shiny it up? Or because it's in this, because the jaws are shut in lovely and it's got the spring and the washer, and now it's told us its name, do we flap disc it, make it all shiny, get rid of all that, and make it as we first intended to make it, a really nice shiny one of these, because it didn't have the names on it, and it's quite nice that's there because we won't affect that. Or do we just appreciate it for what it is? Wow. I wonder what that 10, 22, 20 means. So for now, I'm not going to touch it. I quite like it as it is now, although it has been sitting in a tub or a tin with water in or something. Look, and the roof of the shed has leaked or something. And we'd have to go really quite deep to get rid of all this, wouldn't we? I think it'd stand it. I don't think it would bother it in any way. But this is what swayed me. This is what swayed me. Look, the way she's shutting. She's shutting lovely. As always, it's always the same dilemma when you get these tools. What do you like, what you don't like? It's personal preference, isn't it?